But anyways, let's go to pros. We get hot so fast.
I know, we really do. We get going. Anyways.
It's you. It's got to be you.
Dude, you came in hot this time. It was not me. It was not. Yes! You came in guns blazing, man.
We'll see. We'll check tape.
Anyways,
pros of higher education.
You learn a shit ton. It's so much fun. If you like to learn, it's fun. That's why I did it. That's why I loved it. That's why I was in it for 13 years. Changed majors a few times.
You're continuing your education
outside
in a non like formal way.
University way,
university.
But yeah, like it's a whole different thing to be able to learn about something that you're interested in from someone who knows it.
Right.
Who's somebody who has experience in it, who has done it, who understands it, who gets it, and you know, at least you trust and you hope that those people are giving you legitimate information. I mean, I think there's like screenings and shit.
Right. Well, and I mean, you always like, I think for me, what the biggest thing with education is it gave me the opportunity to be much more open-minded about things.
For sure.
Because like you learn, like
you're not just believing everything you read also.
Right.
It takes you out of your like confirmation bias, because you're not just like reading this thing on, or somebody says something, or you read something on the internet and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that. Like it takes you a little while for you to be like, wait a second, I don't think that's right.
For sure. Like it helps you understand that,
more.
Right, like there's more than just face value on things. But I think, for me, it allows you to try and learn things that you may not have even known that you were interested in.
For sure. Oh,
for me, like I would have never thought that I was interested in history. Like I learned
religion.
And religion, dude, I love religion. Like I was just looking to see if I can go and change my minor to religious studies, but they don't offer it. Like I love religion. I think it is the most interesting subject.
We should talk about that.
Aside from, we should.
It might be a little controversial.
It's definitely controversial. Like it's because it's a philosophy. But anyways,
we can go
there
on
is
on that.
Yeah, like you get to understand and think about things that you might not have ever known that you would have liked.
Right.
And you get to know things that you're like, fuck, dude, I do not like this.
Yep. Just like I don't like English.
But still, it pushes you to finish something, even though it's not something that you would have chosen, right? Like,
right. It pushes you out of your comfort zone.
It pushes you out of your comfort zone because if you, like, for me, like, I'm getting my Bachelor of Arts in psychology. I like the theories. I like the possibilities. I like the potentials. I like the, for me, the science, that stuff is just, I mean, it's challenging for me to absorb, and that's where you thrive.
The complete opposite. Like for me, like when he talks about all these theories and how he's explaining all these things in psychology, and I'm like, dude, what? Like, how do you even like wrap your head around any of that? Because I don't get any of it. But then he's like, oh, can you help me, like, with these, like, the chemicals and, the neurotransmitters or, whatever else with cognition. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll be right there.
Right now I'm TAing for physiological psychology, which is obviously a hard science. Because so I mean,
probably the only part of psychology that I would have ever gone into.
You would have liked, right? Yeah. You would have loved You would have loved Bachelor of Science because you learn about cognitive psychology, physiological psychology. Basically, both of those are telling you what's going on when,
hormones,
when
neurotransmitters,
this is happening,
all these things are happening.
Right. When these psychological phenomenons are happening, this is what's going on in these people's bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or this is what's likely to go on in these bodies. Behavioral psychology. Second time your earring fell out. But yeah, like behavioral psychology where it's very like, order, right. It like operation, order, like it is the science of it. Me, I like to be a little more open, and I didn't realize that. Like going into it, I didn't even know there was a difference for one. I didn't even know there was you could do a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. Like I was very ignorant to the whole thing. Again, I was very fortunate to be able to learn and dive into psychology and have fun with it and understand.
You've also
like
learned from my mistakes, also with school.
What you mean?
Because of like how I planned out my classes and making sure that you have all your ducks in a row, taking classes and looking at everything, because I didn't do that for a lot of things and I had to backtrack.
For sure. Right. Yeah, no, it's very helpful, you know, like having having someone who's gone through it also recently, you know, so we can kind of work together, like learn from each other, like talk about our things, have someone to share, like, you know, what we're learning, because it's fun, you know, like, and it opens your door to like communicate. Because for me, I'm a pretty quiet individual, but
I beg to differ.
Well, I mean, you got to get in my wheelhouse, right? I've grown into being a pretty decent communicator. I'm not good, but like I'm learning, I'm growing with how well I communicate, and I really attribute a lot of that to school, to education, because it gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of confidence to know that like I don't know everything.
Right. Well, and goes back to one of my favorite quotes. I don't know where I read it or how I don't remember, but the more you learn, the more you realize you know nothing. For sure. And it is this time that like you open.
It's a scary thought.
It's the coolest thing. I think it's so
ever.
Cool, because then you think about like, I mean, for instance, I learned how to crochet, you know, during last year, during the first part of COVID, and I opened that door a little bit and I was like, whoa, look at all this shit. Like, I don't even know half these things. I have no idea. I mean, even now, like I'm, you know, when I do it, there's so many other things, you know, studying herbalism now, same thing. It's like something that, you know, there's little bits and parts, because some of it, a lot of the information is kind of crosses over to biology and some of it over to nutrition, but it's still like there's all kinds of shit like that I have no idea about, you know, like, so it's so cool to me. Like, it's so cool to think that we'll never know everything, or we just won't. Like, and I think too, that was something, a pro for me that I think with having a higher education is that you realize that you don't know everything. It humbles you a little bit. Right. Because I think before I started school, before I started going for nutrition and all of that, I was like, oh yeah, I heard this, sugar's bad, do this diet, here, eat clean, do this, do that. It was easy for me to make all these, you know, like this or that, causal claims, exactly. But then having more education in it, I'm like, wait a second. Right. Well, it could not, you know. So I think that also,
it gives you the potential just to be more open,
and
be
thoughtful.
More open-minded, be more thoughtful, and understand that not everything is as it is at face value.
Right.
It allows you to want to expand in specific areas,
right.
Or just be more open to learning new things, right? Like, just be more open to saying like, hey, I don't know much about that, but I would like to.
Right.
And then you can kind of go and investigate and learn things on your own.
Right.
You know, like it's just, I think it just opens up a lot of doors when you talk about like your personal growth. It could, right? And I think but I think without it, you're going to have a lot harder time.
I also think too, you meet a lot of new people whenever you're in.
You can meet a lot of new people.
Face to face.
Well, no, I've met like a few people, even because I've had almost my entire education online.
Have the entire, except for like CNM in the beginning.
Yeah, I've had a couple classes. Even some of those were online, just because, you know, I've been taking a couple classes at a time.
Right.
I've been taking, you know, like whenever I could. Whenever I was at our office, there was a campus literally across the parking lot, which was really convenient. So I would just go take a lunch break, and you know, on my lunch break, I'd go take a class. And you meet a lot of people, and you know, you just get in the mix, you know, like,
sure.
And
it's
you
cool,
are
because I met a lot of cool people
right.
going to school. A lot of awesome people,
and immediately you have a commonality with the person sitting next to you.
Right.
No matter who's in that room, there is always one thing in common. It is that you are taking a class together, right? So I mean, that's already kind of a cool thing, because you know, you don't need necessarily like an icebreaker to meet a new friend, to talk to somebody. Like, you are in it together, which is a really cool thing. You know, like that
I think
you,
so, too.
right? You know, you're having a shared experience together.
For sure.
So
Right.
it's-
Again, gets you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
You're meeting people who you wouldn't normally meet. That was
Mhm.
always like, something that was always nerve-wracking for me.
If you if you were out and about, if you're at the gym, if you were at a bar, if you were at a restaurant, if you were
Right.
at another place where you would see the exact same person that you would see in your classroom,
Right.
would you have a conversation with them? You know, I would say you're probably more likely to have it in a classroom than just in a wildly open
yes,
setting. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
So
yes.
it gives you a chance to not only meet more people but converse with more people.
Right. Connect.
Connect
You're connecting
with more people.
Right.